Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraint of filters in a world saturated with highlight reels. We dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth and to be moved, be inspired, and discover that you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval, owner of Valüd Productions. We are a video marketing agency, and I'm joined here with my wonderful co-host.
I'm Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach. I help my clients live their true happiness, discover who they're truly meant to be, and just inspire and spread some positivity. Danielle, now you can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerialist. I'm an aerialist. That means we are the bird of the circus. I'm also a certified teacher, and I can perform globally. I'm here with my co-host and guest today.
My name is Loyd. I am a business coach based in Cape Town, South Africa, and my focus of business coaching is to help inspire new entrepreneurs and small businesses grow their business, both profitably and also with that human element that comes with it.
Awesome. Loyd, we are so excited to have you here from a different country. Like, how amazing.
Exciting.
Zoom allows us to bring all kinds of people together, and my amazing co-host, because I miss seeing you guys, and I'm so excited that I get to see you once a week. It's so amazing.
Most definitely.
Twice this week.
Twice this week. Oh, it's so exciting. Danielle, you want to start us off with a question this morning?
Let's do it. In hindsight, what particular class in school, above all others, do you wish you paid more attention to or taken more seriously? And I found it really ironic. I'm the one that they don't know the questions. I picked these. So I found it ironic because Loyd's here with us today, and Loyd has dual citizenships in countries I've never even thought of going to, which is Australia and South Africa, right? Not that whatever. I don't even have a passport. That's my point. So I wish I would have paid more attention. Like, if someone brings up anything to do with the map at all, it could even be in Maine, I check out mentally. Like, I'm out. Like, I don't know. I could go from talking about quantum physics to sounding like I've not attended school. If someone asks me too many geographical questions. So I'm going to say that. That's why I was like giggling when Loyd was discussing a little bit about himself, because I was just like, something that's just so a part of who he is something that I like wish I just had not only paid more attention to, but I hope I evolved into traveling more or even having a dual citizenship. That's so awesome. So that was my answer. Yeah.
That's a great answer.
I love that. Loyd, what about you? What class do you think that you would want to pay more attention to?
So I've got to give you a disclaimer, which I hated school with a passion. It was 12 years of my life because we did it for 12 years. And then when I was 18, I decided to leave South Africa, and I actually went to the Middle East, and I spent 2 years there. And then after that, my brother, and I blame him for this next part of my career, and he said, hey, go work on a boat and you can travel the world. Like, yeah, let's do that. And he said, by the by, you also get paid good money for it. I was like, you had me at traveling. So for me, geography was a fun subject to take at school. I did enjoy that, but it wasn't really like, what are the capitals of the countries and where are those countries and all that jazz. It was learning rock formations and a little bit of meteorology. But for me, when I got to university, one of my favorite subjects actually was history. And I actually did history onto my honors, and I did honors in history. So at school, I didn't enjoy history. I really found it irritating because they only spoke about big names and big dates. And given the context of South Africa, a lot of our history centered around the previous regime, the apartheid regime, and the struggle and how we got out of that. And I think for a lot of South Africans, we're sort of saturated with it now. We don't want to really talk about it. But yeah, history was, for me, one of my worst, but also became one of my favorite subjects.
I love
I
that.
agree. I also felt like history was like not properly said to us. Like there was like little gaps. So my mind was like, I'm being lied to. Like, and so like I just kind of like brush it out of my mind. Like as far back as I can remember, my mind did that. So history, I am with you.
I love that. I gotta say, I think mine is like 100% public speaking. Like I dreaded that. I failed 2 public speaking classes. I had such bad anxiety. I know, right? And now I'm a motivational speaker, like on podcasts. It's crazy. I really wish I would have paid attention more. I think there was a lot of skills I could have learned, which no big deal. I'll learn them now, but I feel like I would have been like 10 steps ahead had I actually paid attention.
But maybe that's why they said our flaw is usually our gold nugget. So like maybe that's what that is. So if I win a spelling bee, listen.
Struggle with spelling. I'm with you there. They used to have these spelling competitions at school, and I was like, no, can't do it. I don't care.
No, what about you, Graham?
Mine is, I definitely never did very well in English class and like reading books and papers and things like that. And I kind of wish I had done a little bit more with that, because I almost feel like, it could have helped me in like learning more things down the road of like, okay, just like broadening my knowledge through literature and English and writing and all this different stuff. And I've since gotten a lot better at it. And yeah, I mean, out of all my classes in high school and just in the college, English and grammar and writing and that whole like side of school, I never did all that well with.
And you write media content.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
Since it's changed a little bit, but in the beginning it was like, no, definitely not. And there's one thing that I like this question that I would like to stem from it a little bit, is that when you first asked that question, the first thing that came to my mind is like, I wish they had more A class even, or even more, or whatever, about financial literacy. You know what I mean? Because to me, I still am trying to learn that. I'm 37 years old, trying to like wrap my head around that. And like, there's like, you'd feel like it should be a class early, because we're such a society based on the financial side of things that it's just like they don't want you to know.
Well, society needs workers, or it doesn't work.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
I mean,
so we're trained to be workers. We're ants. and
we are purposely not taught that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's my belief. Purposely not taught that, but I agree with you, Graham. I literally was 30 before I was like, I should probably start a retirement.
I mean, on the defense, though, I will say that I went to business school and I didn't go right after high school, but I moved to New York. I came back and I was like, this isn't poverty. You're not a thug, and I'm going to business school. Like that, like my mind was completely changed by living in New York. But anyways, they teach it a little bit there. So it makes sense that the mental place I was at 19 was an appropriate age to learn about financial stuff. But they still only train you to be a worker. They don't train you to be financially independent. I don't believe that that's what it is taught to be. So yeah, I will defend the system slightly because of that. One thing is I do believe it was like a maturity, because I can't imagine looking at what adulthood really is at 16. I was depressive then. I probably would have like really sent me through
I think that's why it would be so important to like make it fun, or like shed some light on it or something, just so that more people could help improve this system, even as being workers. And I'm curious, Loyd, what your thoughts are on all this, being a business coach. And like, I'm sure you run into people like finances is a thing in business that, tends to push people over the edge.
No, definitely. I think essentially at school, we should be taught some sort of financial literacy, because it really boils down to your relationship with finances, I've found. Even as you get older and you're running your own business or you're working for somebody else, that relationship that you have with your funds becomes such a critical component of whether you will succeed or not succeed in whatever project that you put your mind to. And in the context of South Africa, our relationship with finance is really bad. So there are a lot of people in abject poverty here, but the divide between the poverty and the rich is incredibly huge. So there's no real middle class, or we would say there used to be a middle class, but now that middle class has shifted more to being more in poverty. And when I'm talking about poverty, I'm not saying you're living in a cardboard box, but you're struggling every single day. Your mindset is, I need to survive this month in order to get to next month. And I will deal with next month's problems when it arrives. So having a better understanding with finances and that relationship, I think, is critical. And some of the clients who I've worked with, especially when I'm mentoring individuals who come from the townships, very low income areas, you try to get them to understand that the money they make for their business is the business's money. But they're going, but Loyd, I'm the business. I'm like, I get you. I know you are. You're a solopreneur, but it's still the business's money and you need to draw a salary from it. And they're like, but it's still me doing it. It should be my money. And getting that relationship across, because yes, the money's coming in, but you first got to deal with the business's expenses and then your stuff. You can't be like, hey, money's coming. Now I'm going off to KFC and I'm going to go get some Burger King and rah, rah, rah.
Stop talking about me like that.
I know, right? For real.
So, yeah.
I don't eat KFC, but I'm being serious.
I gotta like get off topic for 1 second on that topic of KFC and Burger King. One of the best things I did for my health was moving 2 hours away from that crap. Like 100%. I can't even get it if I wanted it, which by the way, there are many days that I want it. Loyd.
Loyd is so on point.
You said something so interesting that in South Africa, there's no middle class.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm reflecting that I think the majority of the US is mostly middle class, in which I'm going to preface that with this. Middle class is really not middle class. Like, what I think there was a statistic that came out that I saw. It was like the new middle class income is $120,000 a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think the dollar amount is just accurate to the ratio of like inflation. So, but middle class to me seems in our dynamic in America seems to be the most form of like modern day slavery, in my opinion, because I am of the lower scale still, and I'm self-employed and talented and certified, and I've gone to circus school twice. I've done everything I'm supposed to, but I'm still very much considered poor. And but I'm far more free than someone that is in the middle class. And that's when I made the comment last week when I said I chose to be self-employed to be a good mom, because I was almost I had a very lucrative corporate job, and I had almost become, when I did learn financial literacy, what you're not supposed, what gets you trapped. It feels it becomes like a trap almost. And I'm speaking on American stuff. I want to know way more about where you're from and how that dynamic works from poverty to rich, because like, I don't know, I guess I can't fathom that besides Los Angeles.
It's very much relative, to be honest, because the times that I have worked in the US, so that previous career of mine where I worked on, but there's definitely that trap that crew members fall into, because you make good money. I mean, to give you an indication, a starting salary on a super yacht is $2,000 a month tax-free. So you're not having to pay for rent, you don't have to worry about clothes, the food is already supplied on boat. So that's 100% profit going into your bank account. So, you know, your expenses are minimal unless you decide to go drinking every other night, which a lot of crew members do. But then because you're rubbing shoulders with the rich and famous and incredibly exotic lifestyle, you want to emulate that. And you then fall into this cycle where you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And it's termed what we call the golden handcuffs in the community.
Oh, what did you just say? Golden handcuffs?
Golden handcuffs. It happened to me. I stayed in the industry for 14, 15 years. And every time the new season would come in, so whether I'm working in the Med or Caribbean, I would have a bunch of friends that we all knew each other. And the running joke was, this is our last season on the boat. And that's it. We're done. We're going to go back home. We're going to do our own thing. And everyone will say, okay, put your money where your mouth is. We'll see you next year or next season. And then next season rolls around. There we all are. And we're like, no, this is now going to be the last one. I promise you. And so these golden handcuffs keep us trapped. And a lot of it is because you enjoy that lifestyle, but you are so disconnected from reality. So when you come home, that money goes so quick that you have to then go back to that high, well, I wouldn't say high level job, but back to that industry that gives you that kind of income. And so, if that is the cycle, then you don't really break out of it. You don't have that freedom to get up on a Monday morning and say, well, today I want to do something different. Whereas if you are in that cycle, it's like, it's Monday, I've got targets to reach, I've got bills to pay, I've got food on the table. There's no real freedom, honestly, at the end of the day.
That's incredible.
I could cry though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible because it's eye-opening. It's like, it's so eye-opening. My husband worked out of state for, we've been together 15 years. So literally 12 out of the 15 years. And so my son is 9, and for his life worked out of state for 7 out of the 9 years. And I will tell you, the reason that I became an entrepreneur was twofold. One, I was in a nursing career that I absolutely hated and I knew I did not want to do for the rest of my life, working 3 jobs to make ends meet, right? And 2, I wanted to bring him home. My son was missing his dad and I was missing him, but that was the golden handcuffs. He was making incredible money and we had a lifestyle that would not support otherwise. And so we either needed to make more money or we needed to change our lifestyle. And at that point, we weren't willing to change our lifestyle. So we had to make more money to show like, hey, we can do this. And incredible life. Like, I don't even remember the life before that because I've kind of blocked it out.
I also think it's like emotional, right? Trauma. Like I can kind of see it. I came from a single mom, like home, and I had some stepdads, and then my mom even kind of went with her own thing. So I had outside families taking care of me. So I was always like, I still can feel like the trauma of it all as adult. And sometimes when as an entrepreneur, like I was joking, one week I didn't have lights on so I could pay for a BNI membership and my car insurance. And then I put that on and I was literally just like, that's how ridiculous of a position I am in sometimes. And my kids kind of felt it that time though. Like there was an awareness and I was like, oh shit, that's where it starts. Like, oh my God, I got to fix this. And I got to figure this out, like, and it's like, because but that brought the consciousness of like, that's my reaction. That's what happened to me. Like that's, and then it's the relationship with money. And you had mentioned that, like the trauma of it, like that awareness of money, like Graham, you must have something similar too, right? To access if we're both saying, oh, we still ain't quite there with it.
Most definitely. I was talking to a financial person recently, and the way he explained money as like a tool and energy was just like such a eye-opening thing to me, because it's like, oh man, it really is like that transference of energy. And like, if you can have that mindset around it, it can just be this thing that can get you so much more. But also, if you just like any other like negative energy and like that mindset behind things, it can also pull you in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? So I was just like, wow, that's like, that just changed my whole view on it. And since then have been trying to be more mindful around like the whole financial literacy and stuff like that.
There's a book called Happy Money by Ken Honda. And it's all about the energy that money gives. You're either, when you spend money, and I like, let's say I'm paying Danielle for a class. If I'm taking that $20 and I'm giving it to Danielle in a thought of, oh crap, this is $20 away from groceries this week. Why am I spending this money? that money automatically has negative energy, and Danielle is taking that negative energy money regardless of what she is feeling from it, right? Like it literally talks about attaching an energy to money. It's crazy. And we're literally talking about either like a plastic card or a piece of paper.
Right. It's wild.
So even on that note. So for me, on that note, we have a younger generation coming through now that doesn't actually use physical money. It's all on a credit card, and you don't actually see that transfer. And I think there we've fallen into another trap, because now you go into debt and you just take out more credit and more credit. And a lot of South Africans are actually living on debt. I mean, the amount of debt in this country is actually quite scary. And that's why there's really no middle class. You're either poor, relatively speaking, or you're rich, relatively speaking. And the running joke is, if you're rich, you're doing something very corrupt. You're making all that money. The politicians all have so much money. Yeah, it's not a great scenario. But I find with the younger generation, that concept of money, that when you swipe the card, you don't actually physically see the money leave your pocket. And so you just keep on swiping. Then it's like, I'll buy this and I'll buy that, and I'll deal with the consequence later. And maybe I'll even stick my head in the sand to not deal with it. But if you have the physical money in your wallet and you have no other means to draw more cash, once it's gone, it's gone. There's no buying more stuff or saying, hey, look, I'll spot you or anything like that. So I think there we've also allowed ourselves to fall into that other trap of, we've moved too digital when it comes to our relationship with money. That's fine.
Maybe to avoid that energy. I mean,
well, it's the honoring of trade. Money is trade, right? So at the most beautiful concept of it, right? It's usually, one of the universal laws is not accepting more than your value and knowing that, but knowing your value and never accepting less. And I feel like it reduces and eliminates that beautiful concept, right? Like, for example, I've done halftime shows for free just to hang a banner, so when people walk by to see it, right? So I love when those moments happen, because I get to actually value why and what I'm doing. And you're right, I think the credit card thing really eliminates that, or culture, right? Being in different countries and how that might work. It eliminates that interaction. So that's where the money is beautiful, right? Like,
oh my gosh, I love how artistic you are. You talk about beauty in art. I love that about you. You bring like this light of, when I hear you talk, here's how I hear you talk. When I hear you talk, I can picture art. Isn't that weird? Is that weird to say?
No, but that's a great compliment. Thank you.
Picturing this like bright light coming from money as you're talking about money. I don't know. It's just
let's harness this. Harness this and make sure we execute that. I love that you said that, though. That's a beautiful compliment. I will hug that. When I'm talking, people can visually see it, then I'm definitely doing my job, because that actually is super easy for me. Like, I can no longer watch certain levels of TV or things because I am a visual person. I'm also an athlete, so I've been trained to do it with intention. And then I'm an artist. It's something I've been able to do since I was a kid. It is quite literally like a superpower of mine, but I don't always know how to control it. So knowing that when I'm teaching people or interacting with friendships, that I can offer that, because it's something that so quickly I can do. It's not always the funnest.
I mean, it's just like me, right? Like, people come to me because they know I'm going to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, in the most loving and kind and forward thinking, supportive way. You're the same thing with art. If I needed you to if I needed to feel and get into state about something, I'd call you, because you could like totally get me in that quickly.
I love that. Thank you so much.
I love that. You want to pull another question, Danielle?
Yeah. So, that's that one.
Yeah, because that last question was a heavy one.
What?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was
stuff.
Okay, this one's fun.
What's
this like flew out and wasn't a question I had, so I feel like I'm just gonna go with it. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
What do you forget to do more often than anything else?
Oh man,
so many things.
Like, honestly, forget? Like,
Like not ignore, forget, like truly
Names.
not ignore.
Names of celebrity, people's, places, things. I understand the gist of things, but to go into those micro details that make the gist takes a lot for me. And so I can honestly say forgetting a name or a movie or having like a slight brain fart when I'm communicating with people, that is so authentic and really what's happening. My brain just is like, has been trained to not consider that important, and it puts it away. Don't know why.
I'm 100% with you on that. It happens to me with, I'm terrible with song lyrics or remembering a song. Like I'll recognize the tune. I'll be like, oh, da, 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 and something. And then other people give me the lyrics to it. I'm going, oh, wow, you really have a good recall memory. But I think one of the one thing that I do forget to do, which irritates my girlfriend so much so, that I forget birthdays. So I have to have birthdays set up in a calendar because even when it comes to my birthday,
it's like the birthday calendar.
I know I need to do that, but I don't really celebrate birthdays. I think that's also part of the problem. But I just totally forget, and then my girlfriend will be like, "We've got a birthday this week," and I'm like, "Whose birthday? What? When did this happen?" I know it's happening once a year at the same time every year, but like, come on, give me a heads up. And so for me, that's one thing. I forget birthdays.
I love that. The whole girlfriend thing, that's funny. But some people do not celebrate birthdays, and that's like something we have to respect and honor in people. I have a couple friends. And so but that's hilarious.
So when it comes to her birthday, I basically block out a whole week. I know it's in August, and I go from the 1st till the 10th of August, and I'm like, every day is a birthday. It's your birthday week. You know, we do it that way. And she gets very upset with me. So if she listens to this now, she's going to have a hard time. Be like, you know it's on this day. So let's quickly and clarify which day it is.
He knows it's in August. So
in August, the first week of August. Well, the first 2 weeks of August. I think it's the 9th.
That's like me. I'll be like, I think your name starts with a vowel. It's a vowel.
Oh my God, I love you. No, it's listen, we've been my husband had 15 years. I think it's the last week in June, right? It starts with something. I'm like, yeah, you're close. Keep going. He went to open the bank account the other day and needed my date of birth, and he's like, listen, if I get within a couple of days, will you give me some credit? And the guy's like, yeah, just get near it and we're good. So and maybe it's like a guy code thing. Like just everyone knows guys don't remember birthdays. Graham, what about you? Do you remember birthdays?
Not all that well. No, no.
So I can remember numbers. I can, if you tell me a number, I am like a birthday ninja. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's something I forget.
I
Graham,
love numbers.
What did you forget? I'm interested to hear other because like name my only one.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm not always the best with names. I can remember faces really well. Birthdays or things that I forget. It's like a lot of those little things.
Like where you put your deodorant?
I've got like my special spot
space.
Set up for that, so it's not so much that. Yeah, I think those are the two biggest ones, like being mindful of, because it's such a fine line of like what you forget and what you're like selectively forgetting. You know what I mean? There's a lot more that I'm selectively forgetting than actually forgetting.
Then that's the more interesting question. I'll go first. I could be way better with like the office stuff of work, like sitting down on a laptop. And because it's not my favorite, I will have to honestly admit that that's probably why I don't do it, is because it's an intentional, oh, not today. Painting has become that. I've had a painter's block for the last year, and I have had a couple pieces just lying around, and I mean, even paid for, and I just like can't do it. I don't know why. I mean, I can, but apparently it's intentional.
I'd say my selective forgetting is to do the dishes is definitely my selective forgetting. Oh yeah, I forgot to do
that. I love that.
What my selective forgetting, but then what I noticed was that I was getting so stressed out about the pile of laundry, about the pile of dishes. right? And so what happens, this is what happens, just I'm gonna like mindset coach you for a second, is when something becomes painful enough is when you will change it
Oh,
and
for sure.
stop getting, right? And so like it became so painful with everything that I was juggling that I said, like, look, I got to get myself into a routine. And so that's what I do. And now I barely ever think about it. It's just like in my routine to do.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
You just had to have no underwear when you needed it, and you were like, "Hey, that's it. I'm done with myself."
Yeah.
I think I went through that once when I found ice cubes not filled. I was like, I have no excuse.
Yeah. No, that selective forgetfulness is, I must admit, I do it with administration work.
Yeah.
And I end up doing way too much pro bono work, which is not good because my health insurance isn't going to give me a couple of 3 months just because I do good work in the community. I wish they would, and I wish they did, but they don't. So I have to intentionally, because I procrastinate so much, and I'll have a plan, and my plan will be at the beginning of the month, set everything up so that you don't get caught out. Come the end of the month, I'm like, I haven't done anything I decided to set up at the beginning of the month, and now I've got to send out these invoices so much later. I'm like, oops. Well, you get a month free, so yay! And that for me is not a good thing.
I think something we should talk about just briefly is like, how do you keep yourself on track with everything, all the tasks that we do as business owners, as humans, our regular personal lives? What's one thing that you use, like one tool maybe, or one habit that you use that keeps you on track?
Moment for me is really giving intention to using a digital calendar and putting my appointments into that calendar. As soon as I go to a BNI meeting, I set up a one-to-one, I immediately put that into the calendar and set up the time so that I don't double book or, say, oh, yeah, when I get home, I'll pull out my calendar. So I'll try to do it immediately. And that has been successful. Yeah, it's been a better routine that I found.
Yeah,
I love that.
I agree. I would be 100% lost if I didn't have my Google Calendar. That is like, I put everything in there. Like, even as far as like, I got to do work on this piece of a project, okay, I'm working on it from this time to this time. And then I have 20 minutes to do X, Y, and Z before my next meeting. Literally everything is blocked off.
Yeah.
I try to remember that confidence is built when you make promises to yourself and you keep them. And so a lot of times, like, I just think of that. But to keep on track, because I'm an athlete and a mom first. So to stay on track, I try to do like 15-minute things I give to yoga, 15 minutes to the computer. And then I allow the majority of the day to be what I'm actually designed to be doing well at, which is to be a good aerial teacher and to be a good mom. And so that's what I do. And I kind of forgive myself when can't be anything outside those two things, because then the next thing you know, because like I realized that I was working while I was being a mom and not, or when I'm in the house, but I'm really doing something else. It feeds well to the ego of an entrepreneur, but in reality, it's not that great. And it's like, oh, I heard a thing. Oh, okay. So this is, I don't know if people should follow this or not, but it was pretty eye-opening. Sometimes procrastination isn't procrastination, it's alignment. And your intuition knows better.
Oh my gosh. I freaking love that. I love that.
It's true. Not laundry and shit, but like, I mean, like some things that you're like, oh, I need to be amazing and I need to be this. Like the balloon festival, I wanted to work that and I wanted to dangle on the bottom balloon so bad, and I was so devastated. I thought that I didn't get that gig. I remember it was just like one of those things. I was like, you know what, I don't forget about alignment. Like alignment is so important. So I think that sometimes procrastination, taking that next gig or doing that next thing is just really like not in alignment. Even people, what if they're not, what if you're like, you should have a one-to-one guy, everybody knows them, everybody's had a one-to-one, but when I walked into a room, he told me to shush. And then he didn't understand I couldn't meet with him because my kids were sick. He doesn't have kids. And so I've learned a young masculine that can't empathize with a woman's reason. So I immediately say, you do well, but I want nothing to do with it. So
Yeah.
I got crap like, oh, you never hung out with him or had a one-to-one or da-da-da. And I'm like, no. And it was alignment. It was never procrastination. It wasn't that the cancellation shouldn't happen, that my kids were sick. It was alignment. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to have an interaction with this human. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Love that. I love that. No, I think you're right. Like, at the beginning of my business, when I was like needing to plan content, right? Like needing to like do all that back. Graham's like, yeah, I can totally hear you on that one. Like, I thought it was procrastination that when I wasn't doing it, but what I realized after time was like, one, I got to give myself grace. I'm not doing this right now and Danielle, you appreciate this one, is I have to be in the space. I've got to be in the creative space for that. Because if I try to force myself to do it when I'm not, it's crap. And it feels like work. So it's not procrastination. I used to label it as procrastination, and it's really not. I think it's a lot of, I mean, there's some procrastination, 100%.
for sure.
Right. But I think recognizing that it needs to align when you are in this space and in that creative space to do it, like it'll just go like that when you are.
It's true.
Oh,
I'm glad you guys like that, because like
Yeah.
I was very moved by it, but I didn't want to give myself an excuse to not do what I need to do. So I'm glad that other people are like, yeah, I can do that.
Totally.
Yeah, this is
Another way
conversation.
I think another way to frame it, because procrastination can both be positive and negative, as it's setting those deadlines and those boundaries. Because we all can actually essentially say that we're procrastinators, and when we've got a deadline, we might get to it a lot sooner. But do we have a deadline when it comes to, having family dinners or developing relationships or friendships and so on and so forth? There's no real deadline to that unless there actually does become a deadline. And so you might not put as much emphasis and time into those activities and tasks as you would if there was something that had a hard and fast deadline, like when it comes to your business and making sure you get your tax returns done and blah, blah, blah. So, it is, I think, what you're saying, Danielle, it is that realignment, that readjustment, and procrastination shouldn't be this boogie word that people use and throw around. Right. Be like, oh, you're a procrastinator, so you're lazy, and blah, blah, blah.
Totally.
Not the case.
I know,
totally
my son
agree.
is not aligned to clean his room at all.
Man, I'm like that with my bed. My bed is made perfect after I've slept in it. My mother, being a nurse, she makes the bed perfect. And every morning she wakes up and she makes the bed. My bed, I'm like, now it's perfect. I'm not going to make it. Then I'll have the best sleep ever when I get it. Right. So we have constant strife between the two. I just close my door down. She's like, I don't have to look at it when she comes over.
Man, this has been a great conversation today on the Unfiltered Path podcast. Loyd, very much appreciate you joining us here today, all the way from South Africa. Again, my name is Graham, owner of Valüd Productions. You can find me on the web at valudproductions.com or at VALUD Productions, all one word, on all the different social medias. And I'm joined with my wonderful co-host here.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach, spreading positivity. Go find me on social media. It's the Trinity Baker on all your social media platforms, spreading lots of positivity. So just go follow me. You will get your daily dose of inspiration. And if you want to know more about some free trainings I offer, head over to my website, thetrinitybaker.com. And I am here with my beautiful, amazing co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. You can find me on aerialjade.com or Aerial Jade Art on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook even. So, but follow the Unfiltered Path on Instagram and ask us any questions you'd love us to answer. Yeah. And I'm here with our co-host and guest.
So, Loyd, Cain. I have my own practice based here in Cape Town, South Africa, Cain Business Coaching. My website is currently in development. I'm hoping to have that launched in the new year. But you can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Loyd Cain or Cain Business Coaching. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. We're so glad you could join us today, Loyd. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Path podcast.